Hi everyone, I'm here to talk to you about the really fun group that's just getting underway at your paper pantry called Travelogues. And so what it is a round robin of journals that go from one person to the other until they reach their way back home again. So what I thought I would do, all the instructions are on your paper pantry, but I thought for the visual people like myself out there, I'd show you a couple of the circle journals that I did years and years ago. I have two of them here. So one of the requirements is that you pick the subject matter of this particular one was called Soundtrack of My Life. So I decorated the cover. I think it's really important that when you're making your journals, especially those of you who make mini books now, that you make them as lightweight as you can for less postage because they are going to be shipped. So kind of keep that in mind when you're putting your embellishments and stuff on them. So the title of mine was Soundtrack of My Life, so it was my responsibility to decorate my cover, which I did. Then on the inside, I had a little note. I put this circle journal belongs to, and I have my name and my address. My journal left on its journey on, and I have the date, and it returned home, and I forgot to put in the date. And this, so all this is responsible of the journal maker. A welcoming page telling everybody welcome to my circle journal, and I talk about how music inspires us and all these different things, and it moves us, and I tell everybody what I want them to do. In my book, I mentioned that I like earth tones and I don't really like primary colors, and I'd like them to pick a song that would be the soundtrack of their life. So that was the theme of this book. Then every journal needs a sign-in page. So when it goes on its way to the different people's homes, it's really nice to have people sign in. And I put a couple of quotes about music, and on this one it says, please find a tag with your name on it and sign in your name and write what music's playing in your CD player right now. So you can see how it says sign in. And I use CDs in the background. I had pre-made the tag. They had to write, they wrote underneath, here's Kelly's, underneath it says, Taking the Long Way by the Dixie Chicks, and the date, November 6, '06. So it's really neat to look through this all now, so many years, 4 years later. And Cher had In Excess Switch, so that's what was playing in hers. I think there were 8 people in this round robin. Then the next thing was for me to do a layout to begin it. So this was at the beginning of my really bad chronic pain, and I can really see how my layouts have gotten much more sophisticated now. But I asked them each to put a picture of themselves. So there's a picture of me, a little explanation why I picked the song This Too Shall Pass. I talked about my chronic pain and every time I listened to this, and then I wrote some of the lyrics of the song on this page. So once I had done all of that, I sent mine on to the person on the list that I'm designated to send it on to, and they completed their layout. So here we go. She's done hers and talk about it, and then when she was done, she sent it on to this next person and they completed their layout, and so on and so forth. You see? And once I got my journal back home, it was so full and it's so much fun. You sit down and read it and go through all of this, and I just absolutely loved it. So I got my journal back home to me after it had visited everybody. So that was one of the ones. Another one that I did, I picked my theme and I called it Bad Girls. So for this particular journal, I had asked them if they could, I put my welcome right here, and then it says, please create a 2-page layout and answering this question, what law would you break if you could? So the sign-in page for this one, I had asked them to take their first pet's name and the first street they lived on and make their stripper names, because I figured if it's a bad girls book, they might as well have stripper names. So some of these names are hilarious. We've got Mona Greer was me, and then you put your real name. Shade Cameo, Perky Quandra, Lily Fairview, Allie Mason, Taffy Elma. I mean, they were really funny. So I thought that was kind of a funny, clever way to do the sign-in page. And then my first layout was, if I could break a law, it would probably be the law of polygamy, because I wanted a man for all seasons. And I explained if I could, I'd have a man that could do everything. And then I had the seasons, and I had my artsy guy, my rich guy, my handyman, and my rugged guy. So that was my simple layout. These things are falling apart now because it's so old. And then it went on to the next person, and she said she would have been a baby napper because she had visited Romania and saw so many orphan babies. And it just goes on to say the law of gravity, smuggler, she wanted to smuggle her friends, a dog thief for all the poor dogs that were hurt. This one, I love this one. If she could break a law, it would be the law of time. Have time stand still and remain as a child. So it just goes on and on and on. So that gives you some idea of how you can do your journals in our Travelogue. They can be any kind of media you want. If you want your particular journal to be more of an art journal, then specify that in your preferences. I hate to say rules, preferences sounds much nicer. If you want people to include a photo, they can either include the photo on their sign-in page, or they can include a photo on their page, or no photo at all. It's entirely up to you. So all you're responsible for is the cover, the welcome to your book, and the preferences that you want. If you don't like bold colors, then you need to say that. And then a sign-in page, and that's for your reference later on. So when it comes back to you, like I'm looking at this years later, I can see all the people that were involved. And then you complete your 1 or 2 page layout, whatever you want in your journal, then it's ready to be sent on to someone else. So I hope that helps kind of let you know what these journals are all about. They are so much fun. And there's a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind, specifically when you have somebody else's journal in your home, to be very careful to keep it safe from pets or little children or drinks or all those common sense things. But sometimes you don't think about that. If you're in a smoking home, to try not to smoke around the journal. I know I had one and I got it back, and it was really evident that it was in the home of a smoker. So just kind of be aware of that, and to make sure you send them out on time. And like I said, to keep the packages kind of small. So if you're really interested in doing this, please go to Your Paper Pantry. It's a Ning group. I'll put the link at the bottom, and register there. And then under the groups, there's a heading called Travelogues, and that's where you join and sign up to begin. I'm probably going to close the sign-ups at probably the middle of June, so that people have time to get started on their journals and know where they're mailing them to and all of that. And then we should have our first journals out on their journey by the end of June. It's a really fun thing to do, and it's so much fun getting your journal back home, sitting down with a cup of tea and just savoring through all the beautiful creativity that everyone has. And one other thing I wanted to mention too, that when you are sending your journals on, it's really important that you get tracking numbers from your post office. In the event that the journal gets lost, we have somewhere of locating it. So that's about it. So I hope this little video kind of gave you a visual idea of what they're all about. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.